Hello everyone and welcome to Licklibrary. My name is Lee Fuge, and in this video today we're going to be checking out some status quo style guitar habits. So if you're a fan of the Quo, you'll know that they offer up a brand of no nonsense, straight to the point rock and roll. In this lesson we're going to check out some of the key elements of that status quo guitar sound. So in this video we're going to be talking about the tuning that we're going to use. We're going to be talking about a status quo style shuffle, a really cool idea using sixth intervals for riffs, and we're going to be checking out a double stop style lead line. All of the things I talk about in this video are linked down below in the description, so if you want to fast forward to a specific section, you can scroll down, hit the link, and it'll take you straight there. The first thing we're going to talk about is the tuning that we're going to use for this. So over their career, Status Quo have used a bunch of different tunings, but the tuning most closely associated with the Quo sound is a tuning called open G tuning. That is when all the open strings of the guitar are tuned to the notes of a G major chord. So my Telecaster is in open G right now, so my low E string is now a D, my A string is now a G, my D string is still a D, my G is still a G, my B is still a B, and my high E is now tuned down to a D. So we've got D, G, D, G, B, D, low to high. So the really cool thing with this tuning is it allows me to play major chords with a single finger. For example, if I strum all 6 strings open like so, I get a G major chord. In this tuning, we don't actually root things off the lowest string like we typically do in standard tuning. Because this is open G, our G root is our open A string. That means that our low D string is just the 5th of the chord, but the 5th just happens to be in the bass. So I'm going to be rooting all my chord choices off the A string, which is now tuned to a G. So if I want to play an A major chord, I need to come 2 frets above the open. So this is my A note here, bar across the 2nd fret. And that's my A major chord, and then that just carries on up the fretboard. Open G is a great tuning because you can play bar chords with a single finger. So the second thing we're going to talk about, this is probably the most iconic thing when it comes to the Quo's sound, is their way of playing a blues shuffle. So when we think of a blues shuffle, we have that typical blues shuffle sound. The Quo have their own way of playing that typical blues shuffle, and it sounds like this. So that's way more aggressive and choppy sounding than a typical blues shuffle. When we play a typical shuffle, we always have that 16th note right before the beat, so it's 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. It's played with a triplet feel, so it's not quite 16th notes, but you get the idea. With the Quo, they tend to miss out that additional swung note, so we're focusing here on the hard hits on the beat. This gives it a real choppy and aggressive sound. Now what I was doing was I was moving up and down in that riff, so I was going... Notice I dropped it down to that 4th fret there, and then back up. This is a very typical Quo thing to do, it just gives the riff a little bit of movement. Now we're sticking the riff to those hard beats, but then we can add a little bit of variation as I was doing, and add a little bit of swing to it. As long as you've got that choppy sound intact, you can rhythmically play around a little bit and get into some different kind of Quo sounding blues progressions. It's a really fun way to play it. You may also be noticing the way that I'm playing this. I'm actually playing this by barring the 5th fret here on the, what is now my G and D strings, and then I'm going up to the 7 on the D string. Now typically in standard tuning we would play that as a power chord like so, and then we'd reach up to that extra note with our little finger. But because we've changed the tuning of what was the A string, we've shifted those root notes, so we can now play our 5th chords like this. So that's now my power chord shape, and here's my extension. With this kind of blues progression as well, it's best to play it with downstrokes so we get that real choppy feel. You can alternate pick this, but it kind of takes away from the choppiness and the urgency of the part, so try and play that with all downstrokes. The next thing we're going to talk about is using intervals known as sixths to write some cool Quo style riffs. This is going to be pedalled off an open G major chord, and we're going to be adding the sixths on top of that open chord to create some cool sounds. Here's how the riff we're going to learn sounds. So that riff is loosely based around the riff that you hear in the track Down Down. That is actually played with a capo higher up the neck. I'm playing this just from the open position. So what I'm doing here is I'm constantly playing that G major chord, but on top of that I'm adding the sixths. So the ones that you're seeing me using here are in string pairs on the D and B strings. So the first one is the second of the D and the first of the B. Then I'm doing the third on the D and the third on the B. And then the fifth on the D and the fifth on the B. But I'm pairing this with all the open strings of the chord, so we're getting this kind of effect. You can see how the two notes that I'm fretting kind of react slightly different with the open strings each time. The open strings give it that consistent feel of the key being G, so we've got that constant driving G sound, which also the bass is also doing a driving G note, just to kind of hold that rhythm down. And then on top we've got the melodic sound of those sixths being put on top. So the riff as I played it goes like this. So to play this, we're going from that first sixth note there on the third fret to the one on the second and the first, with that open G just palm muted in between, then a pair of palm muted open Gs, then we're repeating the same rhythm but with the 5 and the 3, so it's the same rhythm, and we just repeat the first part. Then the bit that kind of takes this down the road of the down down influence as we come up to the 5, 3 hits, down to the third, and 4 open palm muted G notes. So let's just put that together slowly. When you're playing this kind of riff, you can be quite loose with it. You don't have to be super tight. You can kind of strum this quite loosely, as you heard me do in the recorded version. So here's how that one sounds at full speed. The final status quo idea that we're going to check out is their use of double stop lead guitar phrases. This fits in perfectly over the blues shuffle style riff we did earlier in the lesson, and it sounds like this. Double stop licks work great in open tunings. This one is in the key of C major, so we're playing some notes from the C major pentatonic. The finger patterns for this should look pretty familiar because I'm just playing C major pentatonic here. What I am doing is I'm playing some of the notes slightly higher because obviously we're playing in this open tuning, so some of the notes have moved. So we're starting with this double stop here, which is a double stop in standard tuning, but in this tuning it looks like a power chord. So it's the 8 on the B and the 10 on what was my E string. This would usually just be my 8th fret double stop like so, but because this C note here has been moved up 2 frets because of the tuning, I've got to play it like this. Playing that twice. The next phrase is just a very typical bluesy double stop thing. 10 on the G and B, 8 on the G and B with a hammer onto the 9 on the G. That's that typical minor to major third blues thing. And then we take it down to the 10 on the D to resolve. And the second time is the same thing as you saw there, but with a slightly different rhythm. We're ending on that hammer on from the minor to the major. The third time is the same as the first time. And then the fourth part of the lick, we're just rolling that minor to major hammer on again twice until we resolve on that 10th fret of the D string. So let me just play through that slowly. And then at full speed. So So there you go, there are some status quo style guitar habits. Thank you so much for watching this video on the status quo guitar style. If there are any quo style tips and tricks you think I've missed from this video, let us know down below in the comments what your favourite quo moments are. I'd love to hear how you've gotten on with some of these techniques as well and integrating them into your own playing. Don't forget to subscribe to the Licklibrary YouTube channel for more videos just like this. We've already got a bunch of other artist style videos just like this one on the channel, so please go and check some of those out as well. If you're looking to take your guitar playing to that next level, you can head over to licklibrary.com, sign up and access the huge library of guitar lessons over there. There's a ton of great content taking you from real simple basic stuff through to more advanced playing styles. There's also some album breakdowns, some song breakdowns, and some artist style videos over there as well. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys very soon.